let's have a little test. So some have keys for operation, others don't. So remember, you've got your keys in the battery. Turn the key, and we've got some light, so we know there's a little bit of power in there. Okay, not really sure why they still give you this, but anyway, it's a little bit redundant now because we've got the display. So to turn the display on, there you go, just push and hold the M in the middle. You got a horn, and you got them trusty lights, as you can see there. So we're in PAS1 at the moment. That's the power level, and to toggle them, you've got, so 0 is pedal only, then you've got a level 1, a level 2, a level 3, a level 4, and a level 5. Some have 3 levels, some have 7, and some have 9. Generally, most of my bikes are set up with 5. I think the rest of it is just overkill. You don't need to keep changing the level. You've got your Shimano shifters there, 1 to 7, because this is a 7-speed. Some of them are 21 speed. If they're 21 speed, you end up with 2 shifters. You end up with a shifter here, and then you'll have a shifter over here to do the front cogs. So let's give it a little bit of a spin, twisting the throttle. There you go. Testing the brake. Freewheeling, no problem. That all feels pretty good. And we've had a quick test on the brakes. They all feel pretty good, pretty strong. We've got various levels of throttle. So what we've got, level 1. That's about 15k. Level 2 goes up to about 22, 23. Level 3 is pushing you up to about 28.5 kilometers. Level 4 is giving you 34 kilometers, and level 5 is giving you 42.5 kilometers. It's not bad, so that's pretty standard. You've got a 1000 watt motor on these, and you've got a 12.8 battery pack, Samsung battery pack, I believe, on these. So they're quite a good spec bike, to be fair. Nice machine, not too heavy. Just a quick note on the tyres. Generally they say inflate to 30 psi. You don't need to inflate them to 30 psi. They'll be rock solid, and that's the whole reason you have these fat tyres, is to absorb some of the terrain that you're going to be on. I recommend that you inflate them to around 15, 17 psi, and then you feel a little bit of a softer ride. I certainly wouldn't push them up to 30. I don't think there's any need for that at all. I've never had them up that high. They just feel way too hard. I'm going to talk a little bit about charging, guys, first, and then we're done. So your charging port is here. So some of them have this silly flappy thing, others have a different sort of cover, and I think some of the TMs don't even have a cover. Not sure why, but it's just the way that they manufacture. If it was me, I'd probably put something over there, in all fairness, like a grommet of some description. So if you can look right in there, I don't know whether you can see, but that's your target area there, guys. What we need to be doing is, you should never plug that in while this is plugged in. So first thing to do is connect that if needed. Sometimes they're already connected. Make sure you've got a good connection. This, do not plug in yet. It's very important because there's a little tiny fuse in there on the battery, and sometimes if this has got power in it, as it goes across, it trips the fuse. You don't really want to do that. You want the charger to be plugged into the bike first. So carefully plug that into your bike. Sometimes you hear a little pop. Don't be alarmed. That's a normal thing with a battery pack. And then you're going to plug this into your power. So at the moment there will be no illumination on your charger. So then plug that into your power supply, and then we're going to turn that on. And here you go. I don't know whether you can see that in this light, just trying to. So you have got a red light. Now what that means is the battery needs charging, obviously. Once the battery's full, that will go to green. Now that takes varying times depending upon how much charge is in the bike already. Also temperatures affect its charging. So sometimes if it's too cold, it won't charge as fast as it would do when it is cold. We don't recommend you charge your batteries from stone cold. It's always best to like put it in a warmer environment, maybe plus 10 degrees to plus 20 degrees is perfect, is ideal. I think the optimum temperature is sort of 16 degrees. So I would always do that. I never leave my battery pack outside in my shed in my bike. I always remove the battery pack and put it somewhere a little bit warmer. So, and I always recommend you charge your bike in full before you ride it, because your range will be effective, obviously, and then you'll be disappointed on ride one, and you don't want to do that. So just to give you a little note, is batteries are not really that linear. They kind of tail off faster as the charge dissipates. It's a standard lithium-ion thing. I'm not a tech head on this sort of thing. I'm sure there'll be plenty of comments underneath this video that tell me how wrong I am, but that's fine. At least you'll all get some information from that. My advice is I tend to run my batteries. Obviously on a bike it's difficult to charge to 80%, so I tend to run them full, but I never discharge completely. Always sort of like keep 10% in the bank, guys, because it's just easier to charge from 10%. It's faster, it's better for the battery. Your battery pack's going to last a lot longer. Now, just getting briefly into range, guys. Don't want to go mad on this, but the advertised range of any e-bike is in an ideal situation. These bikes are tested at an ambient air temperature 25 degrees with a rider that weighs 65 kilos, that's 5'6", and he's on a dead flat, super smooth surface, and he's using probably 50% of the power settings. So he's probably on level 3, he's pedaling, he's on assist, and he's achieving 100 miles. Well, we'd probably all get that, but like me, I'm 96 kilos, I'm 6 foot tall, I tend to be in level 4. Generally, with these bikes, I get around 35 miles of range out of them. You're not going to get that in the middle of the winter. You're not going to get it with wet terrain, because obviously tractions also has a impact. So the terrain has an impact, the surface has an impact, wet or dry has an impact, temperature of the air outside has an impact, wind resistance has an impact. You've also got uphills, downhills, and also your muscle power has an impact. So obviously I'm stronger than my wife, I pedal harder than my wife without even knowing it. It's just a natural thing. So basically my range would be, pound for pound, if my wife was the same weight as me, would be a lot better than my wife's. So, but my wife's lighter than me, smaller than me, less wind resistance. So although she's more power hungry, she's achieving similar rates to me because she is a lot lighter. So guys, it's not an exact science, yeah? It's all about how you use the power and where and when you're using